Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to An Impact on Your Health. An Impact on Your Health for every day. Our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. An Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. An Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, well, it's the first official return after the vacation or holiday event of Memorial Day. I hope your Memorial Day was a pleasant one. Hope also, too, that I understand many of you out there were awaiting our pre-recorded show for Monday. We'll talk a little bit about the Watergate of eye care today. More on that up and coming. So much happening here in this office with respect to eyes and eye treatment. This is your go-to station when it comes to actually doing something about most, if not all, of this. Anyway, we're back today live, and today our guest is going to be a gentleman you haven't met before. He's been to Pittsburgh on a couple of occasions. I met him on his last trip here. He is a representative of a company known as Avazzia, one of the companies that produces a microcurrent device that's very unique, highly specific, and you need to learn about Avazzia as you begin to ponder the issue of, geez, should you have a microcurrent unit for your own family in your own home? We're going to be talking to Michael Legel today, who is the CEO and head of somebody called First Alternatives. We'll find out what First Alternatives is all about and what Avazzia is all about during our discussion with him today. During the course of our conversation with Mr. Michael Legel, you want to call in to ask a question or to make a comment. The number to do that, as you should know by now, is to dial us up at 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. And I will give that number additionally throughout the hour. Okay, so let's see how things are unfolding. This month is going to end come Sunday, and we'll be flipping the page next week. On Friday, more on the Watergate of eye care. I don't know how far we're going to get into it, but we're doing so much with the eyes in terms of improving it. Any information we can bring to you to enlighten you about what's out there, and unfortunately, much of what is available in the treatment of these serious diseases is not helpful. It's not beneficial, and this became clear with the show that I played on Monday for you, which turns out to be one that we recorded here back in December 17th, 2014 with Dr. Ed Condrat, who had his dander riled up considerably and requested to come on the show to talk about what he dubbed the Watergate of eye care. Anyway, more on eye issues, many more on eye issues with the up-and-coming days. As we flip the page and turn into the month of June, now I'm trying to, and I don't have it booked yet, but it just, if she has any opportunity, I have to bring her on board on Monday, June 1st. I can't wait any longer. I got to get her here. Of course, I'm talking about Dr. Lisa Bowen, who's our eye doctor who evaluates patients at the beginning of and at the end of our eye programs. She was the individual who was able, in almost in a dumbfounded fashion, to reveal how successful we were with our cataract program of a week ago. And she promised me that she would come on the radio, and I need her to be here on Monday, so I'm almost saying, without even having asked her yet, because she hasn't responded to me, that's the day I intend to bring Dr. Lisa Bowen and have her talk about what she said. Here's a quote from Dr. Bowen after she evaluated the patients who were involved with our cataract program, first of its kind. The quote went something like, in the last 15 years of this work, I have never seen anything that could do what you did in 4 days. And she pretty much was amazed. Anyway, I got to bring on and have her tell the story from the perspective of an eye doctor who was not expecting to see what she found. But she should have learned by now. I mean, she's been evaluating our patients for a long time, and she has learned to almost depend on making great turnarounds when it comes to the non-cataract patients, the patients that have the retinal problems, but she didn't expect. And I was anxiously awaiting her description of what she was seeing. She couldn't even speak. Folks, I'll bring her here on the first. I promise I'll have her here. Anyway, a lot on cataracts, as you could well imagine, in the up and coming days. And why not? Let's talk about a big event. We're holding one. It's sort of going to be a dual event, going to be held out at the DoubleTree Hotel on University Boulevard in, what's that called? Moon Township? Yeah, that's called Moon Township. Anyway, there's two hotels sort of side by side out there. The DoubleTree, we're going to be out there on, I'll circle the date, June 9th. And we're going to put on a cooperative event between myself, as well as Mr. Keith Golby, as well as Dr. Angela Mitsos, in combination with Beresha. And I'm going to use that time to have my first conference on cataracts. I'm going to be revealing some facts in the open forum with a lot of slides behind what I'm going to talk about. And so it'll be a dual event. I will also have put together, you'll hear more about this as time is coming up. If you think you'd like to come, and you can call in and be one of the first 50 to call in, you're going to get a free gift, which I'll describe on Friday. Literally all the shows on cataracts. I'm going to put them on one disc, and it's not even available. It's not out there. It will be the first of its kind, and I'll give them away for those of you who are coming, as well as including the disc on the ozone therapy. It's quite a package. There's like a $20 one-of-a-kind gift at the door for the first 50 to call in. If you think you want to be a part of this for June 9th at the DoubleTree to learn a lot about cataracts and learn an awful lot about Beresha, come out for a tasting. It's on us. Give us a call at 724-942-3002. I've asked Dr. Mitsos to throw something in. He's a podiatrist from up there in Newcastle. I don't know what he's going to be giving away, but I promise you we'll find out by Friday, and I'll let you know. First 50 callers to reserve a seat at the DoubleTree Hotel. Going to be at 7 o'clock at the DoubleTree Hotel. That's going to be held on June 9th. A collaborative effort between myself and the gentleman I've just described, as well as the Beresha folks. And it is going to be the cataract conference of a lifetime. Hey, I think we got a knock on the door out there. Come on, the store. Hello, welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
I have a friend that has macular degenesis, and it's the dry kind, and they said they can't do anything for him, and he's going blind. Can you give me a number that he can reach you?
I'm going to give you the two places to go. One, I don't know how helpful this is if he has a computer or not. Our website is called PittsburghEyeProtocol.com, and that's certainly a place to go to find out what we do for MACD, whether it's wet or dry. By the way, don't think as though if he had the wet, there's actually a treatment. Those injections in the back of the eye are no treatment. But believe me,
I know.
We can get this thing turned around and do 92% of the time. I wish I'd take more time right now, but I'm really unable to. But I'll give you a phone number to call. Here's the number. You ready to write this down, ma'am?
I am ready.
Okay, it's 724-993-0500, 0500. That's 724-993-0500. Sister Sarah will pick up that phone. She'll be able to steer you to whatever additional information you need to focus on getting us in here. We will reverse that disease in 3 days, 92% of the time.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Thank you very much for your call. Folks, that's a pledge. We've got a batting average out there when it comes to the retinal diseases. Macular degeneration is one of them. You heard the show on Monday that had to do with what Dr. Ed Condra referred to as the Watergate of eye care when it comes to these injections that are given to the people that have wet macular degeneration as if it's some sort of a great treatment. It is not. And actually, there are so many complications with those injections that you're not being told about. That's why Dr. Kondrat came aboard and asked to present on December 17th. I send you to the archives today. You won't be able to dial up the Monday show. We just weren't here to record it. But I will tell you this. Go to my archives at djcmd.com. And on the opening page, click on the icon that's marked Archives. Well, that takes you onto YouTube. And once there, just scroll. Go on backwards now. Scroll to December 17th and listen to the show at your leisure. If you have macular degeneration, especially if you have the wet type, you need to get the fat and skinny, the straight scoop on these injections. They are a loser. They really need to be absolutely vetted as the last resort. And we have a feeling, Dr. Kondrat and I, that they are all too frequent the first resort, and that shouldn't be. Anyway, MACD folks, whether it's wet or dry, it doesn't matter. Our success rate of 92% remains at 92%, no matter whether you do have the wet or dry type, and that's actually reversing disease from the get-go. So, as I mentioned, I was talking about the event. First 50 callers, the reserve a seat, will get that free gift at the door. Your name will be held in abeyance. A free gift at the door. The collection of shows, some of which haven't even been done yet, but I'm going to make and launch and have it available for those first 50 callers. You don't want to miss them, especially if you have cataracts. You'll want to be out there that night anyway to have a tasting on us, learn a little about Beresha, and learn an awful lot about cataracts. Once again, the number, 724-942-3002 to reserve that seat. The first 50 callers get the gift at the door. Other things going on. Hey, vitamin C kits. We've got vitamin C kits available here for those of you who have decided to go on the cheap, and it would make such great sense when it comes to taking vitamin C, to do it inexpensively, because it can get a little out of hand, especially if you followed what you have learned so well over the years, that vitamin C has two requirements you can't negate. First is, hey, it usually comes 99% of the time from corn, and you just can't allow that, because just about all corn is genetically modified, and you are serious trouble for getting any benefit. Probably the best case scenario is you get no good. What might end up becoming part of this GMO stuff is it may actually harm. But of course, more on that subject. You're looking for a non-corn derived source of vitamin C, and once you find it, it has to be liposomal. It's got to be fat soluble, or you don't get to absorb but 3% of what you're trying to take in. Seems a little crazy. That 1,000 milligram horse chocolate tablet that you have to gulp down with some difficulty, even if you get it all the way down, folks, 30 milligrams, 30. On a good day, with the planets in full alignment, you can absorb 30 milligrams. It's not fair. You got to get more, and the only way you can is to make it a liposomal form. There are commercially available forms of vitamin C that meet both requirements. That means that they are non-corn derived as well as fat soluble. They are excellent products, but if you need to take a lot of vitamin C, that can get so pricey that you probably just figure, oh, I'm not going to do it at all. And we don't want that to be your choice. We went out and had Sister Sarah find for you a non-corn derived source of vitamin C. This one, which I thought was always the case, is citrus derived. That made sense to me. But, okay, so we found a powdered form of vitamin C, citrus derived, and got a non-soy derived form of lecithin. You got to mix those two together to make a liposomal form, and you make them congeal and mix up and bond through the use of an ultrasonic jewelry cleaner, which we also include in the kit. if you're interested in those kits, we just got to put a new batch of them together. Give us a call at 724-942-3002, and we'll put that kit together for you. The vitamin C kits, as long as they last, folks, are available now. Now, up and coming eye programs. We will be turning the page into June. The next eye program that we're going to have here is going to be in the week of June 22nd through 25th. That's a 4-day swing. Within the context of that, there'll be those who are here for retinal diseases, and their program is a 3-day program. And those who will be here for cataract reasons, and their program will be a 4-day program. So pretty much an entire week is going to be spent. If you are a dual citizenship, if you have both problems, then you'll be here for the 4 days, but you can do both at the same time. And it is not uncommon for a person who has a retinal disease like MACD or diabetic retinopathy or glaucoma to have at the same time cataracts in one or both eyes. And in past programs here, you pretty much had to decide what the heck it was you wanted to do. Now we're able to combine the both of them. So if you've got two issues going on, with cataracts being one and some retinal disease the other, you can do them during the same treatment program. The next one will be held week of June 22nd. That's 22 through 25. If you'd like to be a part of that program, bring it up with Sister Sarah. The number, once again, directly to Pittsburgh Eye Protocol, which you can go to the website, and you'll be able to find out what Pittsburgh Eye Protocol does, the fact that it's a northern affiliate of Healing the Eye and Wellness program put together by Ed Condrat. We are the folks that do the program here in Pittsburgh, and we've been doing it since July of 2013. Okay, let's do this. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, some words about the Watergate of eye care. We're going to be moving toward our intended guest today about 25 after the hour with Mr. Mike Legel. It's action-packed. Yes, we are back. Vacation's over. The holiday's over. Let's get down to brass tacks. We've got plenty of teaching going on around here, and hope you don't mind sitting in the classroom to enjoy it. Be right back in a moment. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on this Wednesday morning version of the show. It's the holiday's over. We are now returning. We're back to live, folks. And got about 5 or so minutes before our guest today will be checking in with us. And of course is Mr. Mike Legel. He is the CEO of First Alternatives, the company that distributes a unique microcurrent device called Avazzia. We have recognized Avazzia's superiority to a lot of the companies out there producing these items, and we just had to bring them on the show to let you know out there how you may begin selecting your own microcurrent unit. Some of these are priced in a market that you actually can afford them. We'll have Mike talk to about why Avazzia, what does Avazzia do that makes it so unique and so excellent as a microcurrent device in treating medical issues, and especially pain. That's the #1 reason that you use the Avazzia unit. Anyway, we'll wait for Michael to be checking in with us, and he'll be here in just a few. I want to set the stage for the Friday show that we will be having. We're going to do a Beresha report right off the bat and bring you up to speed on the special meeting that's going to be held out there in on University Boulevard at the Doubletree Hotel. It's going to be on June 9th. And we'll have Keith here and find out what Dr. Mitsos is kicking in. I told you we're going to have an extravaganza for shows. For the first 50 callers, we'll see if Dr. Mitsos can meet and match that. And we'll let you know on Friday what that is. Also on Friday, because it really needs more than just a show all by itself. If you did listen, and there were people that told me they were waiting to hear the show on Monday. Well, it was not a live show. It was on a topic that meant a lot to them, because that was the show we did with Dr. Kondrak that was entitled The Watergate of Eye Care. And for those who have wet macular degeneration, this is a life of concern because you're continually being requested to see your retinal specialist so that he can decide when the, in quotation marks, next eye injection, closed quotation marks, is going to be given. These eye injections, as it turns out, are losers. There are much better ways of handling this, and the side effects, the potential harm, that's key. The harm that comes from them is pretty doggone, it's 1 in 5. 1 in 5 injections. That number is way too high. Anyway, Dr. Kondrak came on our show back on December 17th of 2014 because he was pretty riled up at the time. What resulted, we played for you on Monday, but we got to go back because so many out there do have MACD and do have the wet type, and this is your burden to bear, your cross to carry when each and every time you see your retinal specialist and you think you're doing the right thing by getting these injections, when in fact you need to hear about what's really happened with these injections. So on the Friday show, I'm going to dissect, I'll take a considerable amount of time to dissect what made the show what it was back on December 17th of 2014 and why it was entitled, and I believe correctly so, entitled The Watergate of Eye Care. There's just too much controversy now that has swept at least Dr. Kondrat's thinking in mind, which after publishing a pretty large study reveals there are serious problems. I mean serious problems with these eye injections that apparently when people go to get them, they're really, I don't think they're getting the informed consent that they need to be getting. And when you team that up with a whole bunch of other things about how lucrative they are for the retinal specialists, well, this is a problem that will erupt, and I'll talk to you about it on Friday. So we're going to have part 2 of the Watergate of eye care on Friday, and for now, we'll let it go at that. All right, folks. Look, I think our guest has finally arrived. I met this gentleman, came to Pittsburgh a couple of months ago. He is the mouthpiece for and the person who's the go-to person in this whole country on a company known as Avazzia. He is very excited about Avazzia, looks at it as a premier tool in helping people with pain, and I've asked him to come aboard today. He consented to do so quite graciously. Let's say good morning and welcome aboard Mr. Michael Legel.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Gordon. I appreciate it.
Michael, we had a good time when you were in Pittsburgh. You the energy that spills off of you when it comes to the company you represent and the devices that they make is sort of infectious. It travels to everybody around you, which I'm sure as the CEO of a company called First Alternatives does nothing but make you happy when you see the people respond to your message. Could you take a bit? It's always good for me to set the table by having the guests tell me about themselves personally and how it is that you became involved with this company, and what was the part of the Avazzia company that intrigued you the most? Because obviously you have bit into the message of Avazzia hook, line, and sinker, and now you transmit that message to everybody else. We hope you'll transmit it to our listeners today. Take it away.
Sure. So, in 2012, I actually decided I was, I was in a different industry. I was director of business development for a large manufacturing company. So my job would be to travel around the country and to really just draw business and to meet people and meet some of the top salespeople. And I had a father who ended up, passing away, part combination to an adverse drug reaction. A lot was towards his health, and it kind of opened my eyes to maybe a different calling in life. So I ended up starting a DNA testing company, which was pretty successful. And as I was building that, it was like one half of the pie where I started to get a hunger of realizing I can make an impact. And Tim Smith, who is the inventor of Avazzia, I have a tremendous amount of respect for. I believe he's like one of the top electrical engineers on the planet. And when I had the opportunity to kind of max my energy with a product that I truly found out was amazing, I had to take it. And so the opportunity that I am now is I feel like I actually get a chance to do what I'm good at, which is to reach a lot of people, to build a business, to communicate a effective business plan, but yet to deliver a product that every trade show we do or every time I travel, we get to make a lifelong impact. Whether it's somebody treating for a specific pain they couldn't find out about, or the stories that I get back of what this machine is doing for them, it's awesome. And so I now feel like I'm kind of like, building my dad's legacy, so to speak, because without him kind of showing me the light or showing me that there was something more that I could do with my life or with my talents, it's pretty awesome.
Well, this company called Avazzia and its originator, tell our listeners, because I think it's an intriguing part of the story here. This gentleman named Tim Smith, as you mentioned, in just a few words, is a rock star in the and so our listeners need to know a little bit about his rock star status and how he got there. Could you tell us a bit about Tim Smith, who I never hear him speak?
Tim was the type of rock star where people wouldn't know about him and how he influences their life every day. But like for Texas Instrument, which is one of our largest companies in the United States that manufactures products here, he actually had a huge hand in helping to make them bigger. So he actually was one of their top engineers. He actually ran a department. At one point, he told me he had an $800 million budget, which is pretty crazy. He would oversee a lot of the inventions and products that they would be putting out there. And some of the products that he did were even impactful in my life. So like the Texas 8983 calculator, the lunar module chip that went to the moon, he designed. He had influences that affected like a lot of the NASA things, like the satellites from the galaxy, like that was the farthest away from the galaxy. And so you think about this guy who, honestly, it's the most good old-fashioned Christian you've ever met, like just simple as can be. But he's got this hit to him that he can see chips and circuits and things that, honestly, I can't describe, and only a few people probably could. And so that's one of the coolest things is that he actually when he was looking at his next step after he retired for 30 years, he realized that he just had to do more. And so he wanted to come up with a pain technology, partly for one of his own ailments, and the other part is because he wanted to really help the veterans because he had a lot of respect for his dad. So how fitting that we're just talking about right after Memorial Day, and this gentleman just wanted a technology that can help alleviate pain. Yeah, I've got a tremendous respect for him, and he's actually, the coolest thing about it is he continues to invent things. Like this is one of the few products that he has invented that's amazing that continues to come out.
Now, moved, and I don't know why he did it, but he moved into the direction of trying to deal and allow people to deal with their pain issues. And he moved into a market involving microcurrent. How can you explain how it is that microcurrent is such a force from your own perspective? You're not medically related or oriented, but because you have to have that message that comes across with a consumer that's equally not medically oriented, how do you describe the use of microcurrent in treating pain?
Well, I don't try to what I try to do is not make it like where every microcurrent is the same, because that wouldn't be fair, because different companies operate on a different type of waveform. And so when I'm talking about the Avazzia, I actually point out that what makes it unique, which is Tim has invented one of his chips in there, and he actually has fitted it, and it produces outside of it a sinusoidal wave, but the sinusoidal wave is the same waveform that your brain communicates with in the nervous system. And so that waveform that he produces out there is dampened, and it doesn't end up burning out like the C fibers, and that's really kind of like where the breakthrough was there. So when he explains it to me, it sounds like, and I try to do the best I can. I remember that, not everybody has a electrical, engineer degree or a biomedical degree where they understand the body. So I try to break it down as easy as I could to realize that, well, if you can get this reaction out of your body, that will create a nerve reaction from your brain to send, which is neural and regular peptides to the area. But if you don't burn it out, and this is what this machine is capable of doing. Now, microcurrent itself has been, I believe, a very successful technology, but never really had the right big-time practitioners that can take this and come up with applications and protocols that you can count on, tried and true, and make this into the medical field. I think that the world right now is getting to a point where they're looking for, the non-pharmaceutical relief of pain, or the healthier way, so to speak. You see fast food restaurants putting healthy food and salads in the menus, and I think that the medical field community is going to have to start to adapt, hopefully, in the future.
Now, you mentioned the term C fibers, and for our listeners, the C fibers are those fibers that carry the pain impulse, the pain message. So C fibers play a very important role in how you perceive, if you suffer from pain, whether it is acute or chronic, how you perceive that pain is traveled on a highway directly to the brain called these C fibers. And you say that the microcurrent device exerts some effect and influence on them, and by modulating what passes through them can impact on the pain experience in a positive way.
Yeah, they by going 100 voltage is what the threshold is to stimulate those C fibers, which helps with that. And that's what kind of makes it different for Vance more than the TENS unit, because the TENS unit doesn't do that. But by having it dampen, and having that chip there to kind of regulate it, it's been proven and explained to me that it's not actually burning them out in any way. So there's not really there's never a chance something's wrong is going to happen when the machine goes on you, yet you always get a response. And that's the coolest thing, because someone that's in chronic pain, they don't have time to, when they're not in pain, they're going to let you know about it. And so when they are in pain, they're going to let you know about it. And that's one of the neatest things that I get to see from this side of the company, is I actually get to be a part of a lot of the people's journey as they've had a lot of debilitating injuries, and they go through this. And I built a very wonderful customer service team that knows how to keep them. Sometimes it's not the first treatment; it could be the 7th, 8th treatment that you start seeing really good results. But as long as they'll stay consistent with us and they do their treatments and they do the protocols correctly, I'm so excited about the results we continue to get.
Now, from a patient perspective, a consumer perspective, one thing that probably should be brought to the attention of our listeners is Avazzia has multiple products. In a way, they look equal, slightly different faceplate on them, but you have different devices to accomplish different objectives. And I think the other nice thing you should mention about these devices is You do have a reasonably priced device too that allows people to enter into the frequencies, not frequency specific, but microcurrent realm, and do so even on a meager budget. So let's start talking about the kinds of devices that Avazzia has and how it would be that you would go about selecting the unit for you. How do you do that?
Sure. Well, one of the top things that I guess from Avazzia's standpoint, where he kind of blowed up the company where it got out there, is he invented the home devices first. And a home device, there's 3 different types of home devices we currently have in the market, but they're designed to be affordable, okay, and also have a specific point to it. So the RSI device, which is the most expensive home device, which is $1,499, which comes with $1,499. It has a chronic mode into it. And that chronic pain mode is very important for any patient that might have and need treatment for, let's say, carpal tunnel, plantar fasciitis, something that has, it's more of a chronic disability injury, major back pain. So what we do is we have a professional model, 2 of them, that we train, First Alternatives trains the practitioner how to use, so that they already know that before they actually end up buying the home device, they've already been treated by a trained professional, and they know that the exact protocol what to duplicate for to alleviate that pain, so that you'll know and identify. So if you had, let's say so it's like tiers, right? So if you have a chronic pain, you're going to use the chronic device. If you have acute pain, and you have, or if you have issues with like sprains and aches and ankles and inflammation, you need to use with the Best Pro 1, which is the middle model of that. It's a fantastic pain model for that. There's a number of wonderful protocols we've developed that can be used with there that are really great. And then even if you go down to like where it's like, we even have a minor pain model, which is great for like alleviating you can just have it like if you have a back and you have to stand up all day, you can just have the pads there. Or it's actually fantastic for scar treatments for pain. So the pain associated with scars is actually amazing for the results we get out of our lowest model, which is, underneath $600. So the whole process of this journey of the home devices is kind of funny because he made the home devices first because he was intended to get this just to the everyday in every household. Yet because we didn't have a professional model, which has some extra, wonderful things to it, that allows the professional to really do a complete treatment, whether it's using a frequency called harmonics, which is really important, or the ability to actually locate and measure the impedance levels so that the practitioner can go right to the point of pain that's bothering the person and actually treat them, which is a phrase called dosing. And that's the whole thing we talk about, where he actually balances out the impedance. And so I think that the cool thing about it is that this program that we have would make sure that when patients do end up buying a home unit, they know it works. And what we have done is we do a 10-day money-back guarantee on the home devices, which is pretty awesome. And I'm only lucky to be able to do that because we've had the success. So we know for sure that when we do put these devices in the patient's hands who are in pain, and people in pain are probably the coolest customers ever, because when you're doing something effectively, they're like your biggest fan. And when you're doing something that's not right, they're going to let you know. And so far, I haven't had any issues with this whole product line.
Now, as you describe it, the system, the protocol, as it has been envisioned, is you go to a practitioner first, and this practitioner, through use of your very sophisticated models, your high-end models that have all sorts of capabilities, are able to allow the practitioner to focus in on the type of device that he thinks you may require, and then by treating you with what he's envisioned as your treatment plan, you're able to determine immediately that this was an effective tool to alleviate your pain or not. And it's that immediacy that you see and you go, hey, that worked great. I wonder if I can do this on myself at home. And with that, the rest is history, so to speak. Isn't that the idea?
Yeah, that's exactly the idea. The idea is that nobody feels like they don't know what they're doing with technology, that because they have a practitioner who has already used the device on them, that they get a handle for how to do it themselves. And we have enough experience now where we know to just stay steady and keep going forward, because we know there's a green light at the end of the tunnel. So to speak. So when you look at it from the perspective, let's say if they were treating something like diabetic neuropathy, and the pain associated with there, we know that it might not be the first treatment that you're going to get the pain relief right away, but we know you have to continue to treat yourself. And then we know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, which does have pain relief effectively, and it's been, proven to us over a period of time. And we're a company that operates based on success. So it's a wow factor. So it either works or it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, we put our money where our mouth.
And a professional line, which is a pretty sophisticated product, actually combines every one of your lesser models all in one. What I saw is that it is able to do everything that each one of the individual models does, and that's why the practitioner using it should be able to find the one that's directly beneficial to you. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's the design of it. So that, like, in a professional model, which I don't like to sell to somebody that's not a professional, because it does have a number of complicated and complex modes that require advanced training and understanding of the body. And that's where you empower the professional. And in each of the two devices, which is price point, one is right underneath $3,000 and one is about $4,295. It just has a level of different modes into them, and they have all the home devices settings. And the reason why that's so important, like as you just commented on, is because if you have the ability to know firsthand this is going to work, but doctors' offices, you guys get flooded. And what would be the best way to do this? The best way is to offer an ability to really help your patient not have to go into your office, to value your expertise. So you're coming in and I'm showing them this device, or I'm using this device, I'm alleviating the pain, or I'm treating the chronic pain or the acute issues. And then the cool part about it is, and they say, okay, well listen, you can just take this home unit and here's the prescription, because that's the one thing that I like the best thing about this is they are prescription only. So I know that a end customer or a patient, so to speak, is going through the proper channels to make sure that they get one of our devices. And so that means that they get educated. And we ask, before we even go through the process, we ask them, hey, does your doctor explain to you what you're doing? Do you have a complete understanding? Do you need any help with anything? And those questions right there are the key parts to making sure you have a successful treatment plan overall. And something that I feel the best thing about it is, and I just love the idea of like non-pharmaceutical relief. I love the idea that, when you're doing this treatment, it's healthier overall, and yet you can help these people function in life and get to like high levels of functionality where they're able to, like I talked to a guy the other day who had chronic pain. He was able, and this is cool, he was able to go to church and stand up for a whole hour when he was never able to do that for years prior. And that's the littlest thing you're giving people back, empowering their lives.
Sounds great. Describe, if you could, our listeners can put imagery into play. How does one deliver an Avazzia treatment? What's that look like? Let's take, shoulder pain. That's probably a very common painful problem. Even a better one. How about knees? Because I see more knee complaints than any, and it sort of surprised me. I thought I'd be seeing low back, and here it turns out to be knees.
Sure.
Yeah, describe.
So the first thing that we ask them to treat, or we ask the practitioner to treat, honestly, is we ask if there's any scars on the body, which is the first step in our explanation. If there is any scars on the body, we have them do a specific mode in there that actually goes over and literally as it's treating the pain in front of you, you will see the impact that that's having on the scar.
Disappears. The scar disappears, doesn't it?
Sorry, go ahead.
The scar disappears.
You've seen it.
I've seen it. That's right.
So we treat the pain associated with that scar. Well, what ends up happening is pretty crazy and awesome and a great time. And also the first step to getting the body back, right? Like when you're looking at it and somebody, let's say they might have, we've treated a lot of the pain associated with C-section scars or things like that. You can treat that scar and they can have amazing results. And the coolest thing is the nerves, a lot of the nerve blockages, because a lot of times the scars associated with the nerve blockages, they release and we actually see sensation come back in different parts of the body that they haven't had before. And that's so cool when you think about that. Now, what was your body doing before when you couldn't feel that? What was resetting wrong? That's the first thing we do with before you do anything else with what we teach practitioners, is you want to make sure that patient receives a scar pain treatment. So that way, if there's anything that your body is not set up yet, can be reset, so to speak, and ready to function. And we see, once that gets going, that makes an impact right away on their overall health. And if they have more energy, that also helps them deal with things. So the next step would be to identify if it's an inflammation issue, if they're, if the knee was just treated for, surgery, if they have surgery done on it. I've seen this, go in there and, get that itch, so to speak, that they can't get to, and identify where the impedance levels are, and you can dose the area. And it's really fun to watch a treatment go down, because you can actually treat somebody effectively within maybe 5 to 15 minutes, and see the impact right away. So it's,
So you answered
the device on the body, and once you turn it on, that's the hardest part.
Now, you mentioned, because that was going to be my next question, how long does a Avazzia treatment take? And somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes on average, I guess I can now gather from what you said. There, and so when you do an Avazzia treatment, and of course if the practitioner made the right call, and you got relief from him, and then he told you, you could do best with this device, now you're getting the same benefit at home, how long can the pain relief be expected to last?
Well, it's, we say, 6 to 8 hours, in terms of, pain relief. And a lot of the times what ends up happening, and this is the coolest part about this machine, is that it's not habit forming. So when you start to actually, relatively, start to ease off the pain, well, guess what? You don't use the device. And you're not craving to go use the device or anything, unlike you would with other stuff, other products and other things. So as soon as you start to feel that you're getting towards a better advantage, now we encourage you to continue the treatments if you have a home device for a little bit of time afterwards. But and the thing about it is, let's say the pain comes back a month later. Well, this device is literally able to still work with the body and never loses effectiveness. So whether someone uses it now, today, tomorrow, a year from now, it's going to work the first time as it worked before. Your body's not getting accumulated to it, so to speak, like it does a TENS unit, which allows it to get used to it. And then people notice that after like 6 months of using it, they stop getting the same effective relief from it.
Could it be maybe that not only can you expect to get relief from legitimate pain that has perplexed most of your doctors now, but over time, this relief actually has a healing component that allows you to correct whatever it was that was awry to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm hoping for is, and I'm working with some really great research centers right now to gather data, to support everything that we're saying, so that we can submit it to the proper channels, so people can see what we're seeing on a daily basis. And I'm hoping that they see that, listen, this just shouldn't be for the cases that I couldn't find anything else, so therefore let me try microcurrent. This should actually be part of the everyday type of clinical protocol that can just help human beings in the medical field for a long period of time.
Now,
we've developed a lot of these protocols that are awesome.
I wanted to just take a moment because, we met, we were pretty much wound up. We were having a conference at the time. You were nice enough to come to Pittsburgh, and you were traveling so much that week. Nancy, who is one of your representatives, was in-house while we did our conference for the 3 days that we were there. We were very appreciative of that. But you and I sort of came to an agreement that we needed to have a center here that was run by a doctor so that we could begin the Avazzia movement in an area. It's not really here in Pittsburgh, is it? It looks like we're the foothold. We're where it begins. Could you describe how you envision our office, and me in particular, to carry the Avazzia message out there?
Yeah, the one thing about this technology, which is important, is that you've got to be trained, you got to be educated to know how to use it. So without those two, it's one part that he invented this great machine. The main part is to know how to use it the best way possible to make sure your results are fast-paced. And what we're doing is I'm finding people like yourself in cities that I feel like could be a very big city or opportunity, and I'm investing in training to let you know all the protocols we know how to do, to give you the support to help you get it out there, to show you how this works and operates. And then only when you see that this is exactly what you've seen and it can do and is capable of doing, does the person get extremely excited and watch the potential for this. And so I envision something like Dr. Courtney, I envision you being a guy that, you can relay the message directly from there. As we get new advancements, you're going to know about it. You will learn all our old advancements and know what we're doing. And then we're going to train all your professionals the same way. But the coolest part is that the customer base there will get our customer service support, which they can always call in directly. Because that's one of the things I learned in life was, there's no need for middlemen when it's all said and done. It's always basically best to go straight to the source, get the answer the fastest you can, and make sure that there was no timeline or in between there. So I will hope that my service team that I've supported and created frees you guys up, the practitioners, to continue to find and treat and use your talents to the best of your ability. Because that's one of the things that, let's face it, in the medical field, you go to the hospital, you don't want, you wait when you're in pain. I remember, watching that whole process go through, and if we can find effective ways to treat people, get them out of pain, open up your time, open up your free time, yet, do it in a way where it's a, quote, quote, win-win situation. And I think that's what we built here. And the coolest thing about what we're doing right now is I'm not having, insurance is a whole conversation. And I have left the insurance out of it right now as we gather the studies to show them. Because I don't want to just start, submitting to insurance and say, hey, pay for this. Our patients are paying for it out of their pocket because they know it's working and they tried other things. So it's kind of neat to be on this, which I call it pioneers, Dr. Courtney. I think we're pioneers of this technology. And our job is to kind of educate the masses to make sure. And everything, if you look at everything great, it started with people like us that realize that something is great, and then they bring it to more people.
We were really fortunate to hold what I consider to be, best I knew, the first conference held in Western Pennsylvania for lay people and for practitioners. That division needs to be maintained. Lay people deserve to be trained on par with professionals. Maybe they need to have their own little session with a different set of objectives than the actual practitioner, but that the training is what it's all about. I'm excited, by the way, to be able to help you launch here in Pittsburgh, because right now this is completely virgin territory. There is no Avazzia here, to speak, and we're trying to put something together where the public can recognize this as the center, as they've come to recognize in so many other areas of medical treatment already. This is just one more. I think it's a feather in our cap, and we're so pleased to be part of the Avazzia family. And my training, literally in Avazzia, is just beginning now, folks. And I'll be reporting back to you as that training is underway, and the abilities that we have to impart to you, a user, are improving with each advancing time that we come into contact with you. And you'll be hearing more from Mr. Mike Legel up in the future. Now, with a few minutes left to go, Mike, how do you feel you want to bring the final message of our first meeting together to our listeners?
Well, I just want to say it's a pleasure that you have me on. It was actually really nice to meet you there. I have some family background from Pittsburgh, so I have a lot of wonderful feelings towards that area. And the one thing about what I'd like to just point out is that the coolest thing that this technology is able to do, it's really the trainers behind us and the people that are continuing to look at this technology in a way of how can we make it better. And that's what's really scarily awesome with this. And every trainer is so passionate because they've had their own impact. So like every time we do a show or every time we do I travel somewhere, we're always consistently finding people that want to be involved with the company and help us because they have their own personal story with it. And so that's really what you get to. We wouldn't have the ability to do these training processes if I didn't have those like a Nancy Anderson, the great type of trainers who are saying, listen, I want to get Dr. Courtney up to speed. I want to make sure I answer all his questions. I'm available to him to teach him everything I can. And that's really where this is getting exciting. And that's where this has been missing for, I think, a long time. And hopefully, once we put this all together, you guys will start to see it there, the ways that we can help. And I can't wait to see the stories. I'm going to come up there myself. We'll probably do a couple conferences there. And hopefully, I can't wait to support the area.
Well, no finer way to close out time together is let you, who, as a non-professional, nonetheless, you've been touched by how well people have responded to the use of the Avazzia units. Do you got a go? Who's your best patient that you can think of that has really benefited from using Avazzia, and in a testimonial fashion is one that you go, you know what, I remember this so-and-so person, and this is what they had going on, and now they don't have that going on anymore. Anybody like that come to mind?
Yeah, I have actually a fantastic, most practitioners around the country, when we start dealing with them, they challenge us to give them the patient that they obviously couldn't solve the problem to, or find a way to treat them effectively. And so one of the doctors that I ended up bringing on board, he did not come on board until he gave me his 2 toughest patients. And one of these patients actually had surgery done from a respected surgeon who graduated from Harvard and Johns Hopkins. And he had what was, quote, $1 million back surgery. And in that surgery, this guy has tried everything, and nothing really worked. And his name is Stan. He's a wonderful man. And, it was the biggest challenge we took, so to speak, because there was never before that was there a situation where they're like, really, we don't really think this is going to work, but we've tried everything, and, good luck. And so, he gets the device, and he starts treating himself. And after the 3rd day, he calls me up, and I remember it was awesome. He calls me up and he says, I was in pain at 3 a.m. and I couldn't sleep. Okay. He goes, I grabbed the machine, I put it on the spot. I fell asleep. I only slept for like 2 hours. He goes, I woke up feeling the best I felt in 25 years. He goes, it's crazy. And since then, he's actually called me and goes, I can't believe it. Like, I didn't need to use the machine the other day. I was standing up, I didn't need to do this thing, and he continues to tell me how he was told that this wasn't a possibility. And it's the things that are happening for him. And the greatest part is like, I try to settle him down a little bit and be like, no, this is, expectation, part of the process. And he is, he's basically showing to me that it gives me a lot of confidence in saying, well, look, this guy has 2 metal poles in his back. Okay. This is not a simple process. And this, chronic pain device is his go-to source. And I offered him, of course, like I do to every person, I offered him, 10 days, if you're, assuming that, this machine's ineffective and it's not working for you, would you like your money back? You know what he told me? He said, the only way I'll give you your money back is if you give me double the money which I spent for it. And that's just so I can buy another one.
All right, let's do this. I think tearing about Stan being an endpoint maybe needs to be our beginning point. Can you bring Stan on the next time we meet?
Yeah, I'd love to bring Stan on.
All right, let's do this. We're right at the end of our show right now. I think we've accomplished our objective by introducing our listeners to Avazzia. We got another show in the making. I'm sure I will announce it, and we'll get Stan to talk about his saga with Avazzia and bring you back again, okay?
Sure, I appreciate that.
All right, folks. We're with Mr. Mike Legel. We've introduced Avazzia to you. We'll be back many times in the future about the subject. I'm going to say thank you so much for being with us today. Look forward to seeing you on Friday. So until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney with Mr. Mike Legel saying so long for AIM Impact on Your Health.